think it's really hard to put a time limit on that. I think it was definitely heightened after I had my kids. When I had my daughter, we were still living with mum and dad, so it was probably masked a lot because I had a lot of support. And then we were building a house. We moved into a house. I then had my son. I had 2 children, 18 months apart, and that's when it really hit. And then I probably struggled with that for 5 years before I hit that rock bottom.
And Carolyn, we're talking about your books and the first one that you've written, which empowered you through depression.
Yes, so I navigated my way through healing my depression. It took a year, and at the end of that year, I thought, how can I help other people? I didn't know how I had done that journey, how I had traveled that journey, so I wrote it down. That's my first book.
Okay, so how did you know you were in depression?
I hit rock bottom. I took a handful of sleeping tablets.
Really?
It was December 2012.
Right. Okay.
And I took a handful of sleeping tablets, and I talk about that at the start of the book. And obviously I'm still here. And at that point I thought, I can't do this anymore. I need to do something different. What am I going to do? I had seen this spiritual counselor many years before. I gave her a call. And from the first session, I knew she was the one to help me. And I then started personal development classes with her. 6 months in, I was no longer feeling
it's really
that
hard
heaviness
to
of depression, and
put a time limit on
12
that.
months later,
I think
was
it was
finally
definitely
feeling that
heightened
sense of
after
joy.
I had
I was
my
starting to
kids.
connect back with happiness.
When I had my daughter, we
and
were
I
still
stayed with
living
her
with
for
mum
5
and dad,
years and
so
did a
it
lot
was
of personal
probably
development work.
masked
A lot because I had a lot of support.
How long were
And then
you
we were
in
building
the
a house.
stage
We moved
of
into a
depression?
house. I then had my son. I had 2 children, 18 months apart, and that's when it really hit. And then I probably struggled with that for 5 years before I hit that rock bottom.
Okay. But you managed to get out of it. And I would say there's a lot of mental health issues out in the world right now, and they're an extension of COVID, a lot of them, not all of them. How can we help those people that are feeling, the word unworthy comes, but it's not even that, is it?
No.
What is it? Because you can explain it. I've never been in that situation, so I can't say that I understand it. I can't say that I've felt it because I haven't.
It's a darkness. It's a heaviness. It's like you're in a dark pit and no one can help you out. And for me, anyway, I convinced myself that my husband and kids would be better off without me. So my brain had convinced them that they would the whole family, everyone would be better off if I wasn't here. I even remember at one time sitting at the train station and thinking, am I going to jump in front of a train? So it was quite heavy. It was quite dark. So I do understand that. I think what I would say to someone that's in that space is the first thing I want to say to them is that they can change what goes on in their brain.
Yes.
Despite how it feels, they can change it. They can. Because there has to be an understanding that you can.
Yes, definitely. But you have to find the person or the people that can support you and help you through that. Because we can say things, you shouldn't be taking medication, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. But if you're not in that situation, you don't really understand what that person's feeling.
And I didn't take medication, but I have a lot of clients that are. And so I'm all for you do what you need to do. And you need to find, you're right, the person that can help you, whether it's a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a counselor or a kinesiologist or someone else, because you can go to 10 psychologists and only gel with one.
Yes.
So it's about really connecting with that person, feeling heard, and then allowing that person to help, I guess, hold your hand down the path while they help you just start to come out of that fog, to help you come out of that pit with whatever techniques they have.
And it's not just feeling heard, it's feeling heard and seen.
Yes.
Because a lot of people who are in those situations, and you look at the homeless, there's a lot that just want to be seen and then heard. So it's really important to be seen and heard.
Absolutely.
And remembered or respected for who they are. Let's move on, because I think, I know that you can help people in those situations. And as I said, I don't truly understand it. I've seen it, but I can't comment on it because I've never experienced it. So, and I appreciate those people that get into those situations. Once upon a time, I would have said they're being selfish if they commit suicide. And I've known people that I've known quite well that have, and you just sit there and you think, well, why did you do that? Why? Because we don't understand where they're coming from and what's going on in their brain. So you also come from another space of an experience that you've had in life.
Breast cancer. Yeah. It's interesting. I was diagnosed with breast cancer as we were coming out of COVID. Now, what's interesting, I'm a really big advocate of if something changes, please go to the doctors. Because I had been checked in March. I thought something didn't feel right. I went in March and I was told you're all clear.
Really?
Yeah. And then in October, I actually looked in the mirror. So for me, it wasn't a physical thing. It was a visual thing. I looked in the mirror and my boobs literally were lopsided.
Really?
So I was getting pulled down on one side and I thought, how did I miss that? And there was a part of me that thought, well, hang on, I got checked 6 months ago, I'm fine. But then there was another part that was going, go to the doctors, go to the doctors, go to the doctors. So I did. And I am so grateful because every person I had, it just smoothly, I just navigated from one to the next. And it turned out I had a 6.8 centimeter lobular carcinoma. So it's a cancer that's deep in the breast and it was pulling my breast down.
Wow.
6.8 centimeters. So either it wasn't there 6 months ago or it grew really fast.
Wow. Okay. Do you mind sharing?
I'm happy to share anything. Yep. So I'm a big believer that things happen for a reason. And absolutely. 1 month before being diagnosed, I did a laughter yoga course. So I studied laughter yoga. It was a 2-day course about the power of laughter. So when I got diagnosed, I was able to firstly connecting with gratitude because of all the work I had done before in terms of being able to see it, having the right doctor, having a great surgeon, everything just was smooth, going into hospital, everything just happened. But I was laughing as they were wheeling me into surgery. And my surgeon said,
I can't imagine you doing that.
I was cracking a joke at the nurse. And he goes, laughing. And I go, well, I'm here to lose a bit of weight. It's like, give me lopping off from having a mastectomy on one side.
Oh my God.
And he just shook his head. And he said to me a few weeks later after he rang to say that it was all clear, that they got it all, that he goes, you know what? Positive things happen to positive people and you are so positive. And so I used all the tools that I'd learnt through healing my depression, the laughter yoga. I used that as an anchor. So when I went through radiation therapy, I was laughing. We had lots of jokes about me being one-sided for so long. I had to be one-sided for about 3 years because I had radiation therapy and I had to wait a few years.
Yeah.
And it was just lots of jokes. And I wanted to do that, one, because it made me feel better. And the one thing I learnt, you can't always choose what happens to you, but you can choose how you respond.
We're talking about your
so,
books and the
so
first
true.
one that
And so I
you've
chose
written,
laughter.
Yeah.
And it was funny though. People's response was, you're
depression.
not dealing with this.
Yes, so I
You're pushing it
navigated my way
down.
through healing my
It's
depression.
going to hit you in a year's
Took
time.
year, and
at the end of that year, I thought, how can I help other
I'm
people?
okay.
This
I
is just
didn't
another
know how
adventure
I'd
in my
done that
life.
journey, how I traveled that journey.
I'm
So I
okay.
wrote it down. And
That's my
you know
first
how to
book.
deal with it because
Okay,
you had the
how did you know you were
modalities
in
to
depression?
deal with it.
I hit
And
rock
when I asked
bottom. I
a
took a
question
handful of
about
sleeping
your
tablets.
family, how did that go?
Really? It was
Well,
December
I think my
2012.
positive attitude helped with my
Right,
kids and my
okay.
husband.
And I took a handful of sleeping tablets.
Because they
And I
didn't
talk
see
about that at
me
the start of the
crying. I
book.
think I only cried
And
twice. And
obviously I'm still
those
here.
times,
And
well,
at
the
that
first
point
times
I
when you
thought,
told me I had
I
tears in my
can't
eyes,
do
I
this
wasn't
anymore.
full
I
on
need to
crying.
do
There was
something
definitely
different.
like, I would
What
have.
am I going to do?
He'd go, let me
I
read
had
the
seen
report.
this
Blah, blah, blah,
spiritual
blah,
counsellor many
carcinoma.
years
I go, hang on a
before.
minute, what?
I gave her a call.
So that was the first time I had tears.
And from the
second
first
time was
session, I
when
knew she was the
Ahmed
one to
had
help me.
actually agreed to not
And
charge me like to
I
waive
then
one of the
started
bills. It was a
personal
bill for
development classes with
$1,000
her.
that they were waiving, and I
6
was
months
teary out of
in,
gratitude
I was
for
no
them.
longer
So
feeling
I can
that
honestly say I
heaviness of
didn't cry.
depression.
And I think that positive
12 months
attitude and the
later,
jokes helped
I
my
was
kids
finally
navigate through it
feeling
because
that
they
sense
knew
of joy.
if
I
I
was
was
starting
going
to
to
connect back
I was
with
going to be
happiness.
okay. Yeah.
And I stayed with
So
her
we
for 5
cracked
years and did a
jokes.
lot of personal development
And,
work.
you know, yes, it hit all of us hard.
How
My
were
uncle
you
had been
in a
diagnosed with
stage
lymphoma only
of
6 months
depression?
before me.
And so we're already
I
going
think
through
it's really
a
hard
cancer journey with
to
him. He's only
put a
5 years
time
older than
limit
me,
on
so
that.
they're
I
very
think
close
it
in
was
age.
definitely
And even when I
heightened
told him,
after I
he goes,
had
"Oh,
my
how'd you go at the
kids.
doctors?" And I go, "Well,
When I had my
I
daughter,
smiled.
we
I
were
said,
still
"I've
living
joined
with
your
mum and
club." And
dad,
he smiled,
so
and then
it
he
was
thought,
probably
masked a lot
no,
because I had a
no.
lot of
Yeah,
support.
for the penny dropped.
And then we
Yeah,
were building a
so
house. We
I think
moved
the
into a
family were
house.
okay
I then
because
had
I
my
was
son. I
okay.
had 2
Yeah.
But
children,
it's all
18 months
about
apart, and that's when
being
it really
positive
hit.
and
Right.
And then I probably struggled with that
not
for
thinking on the sad
5
side.
years
Look at
before I hit
the
that rock bottom.
and that's a really
Okay.
hard thing to
Okay.
do.
To look
And
at the
but
positive
you
side
managed
of
to get
life
out
when
of
you're
it,
going
and
through
I would
such
say there's a
a
lot of
traumatic
mental
experience.
health issues
Or you can
out in
make
the
it
world
traumatic,
right
or you
now,
can make it
and
something
they're
that
an
is, I'm
extension
learning
of
from this. What
COVID.
is it
A
that
lot
I'm
of
learning?
them,
I
not
think my
all of
attitude
them.
was that I have a
How
choice
can we
here. Now I
help
could be
those
sad
people
or I could be
that are
happy. I do
feeling
have a belief that our emotions affect our
the
body.
word
Yes, they
unworthy
do.
And
comes, but it's
even if
not
I'm
even
wrong,
that, is it?
feeling happy and laughing made me
What
feel
is
better
it?
anyway.
Because
Yeah.
you can explain
But I
it.
do
I've
know
never
that
been in that situation,
laughter,
so
joy, it does
I
increase our
can't
immune system,
say
which
that I
helps everything
understand it.
else.
I can't
Look,
say that
if
I've
you're
felt
feeling a
it
little bit
because I
sad and
haven't.
you laugh, and
Yes.
I used to do
Despite
this a
how
lot
it
with my kids.
feels, they
If
can
I
change
was,
it.
they were
can.
cranky with me, I'd
Because there
start
has to be an
laughing.
understanding that you can.
Yes.
And then look at
Yes,
me,
definitely.
and they
But
try
you
to
have
keep
a
find
serious
the
base,
person
and
or the
eventually you have
people
to laugh
that can support you
because
and
you
help you
can't help
through
it.
that.
Or
Because
you know, you pull a
you know,
funny face at
we
them, and
can
they think, "Oh,
say
that's
things,
stupid."
oh, you know, you
You
shouldn't
know,
be taking medication, you
and
shouldn't be doing
that's
this,
the
you
sort of
shouldn't be
thing.
doing that. But if you're not in that
Laughter
situation,
is the best
you don't
medicine.
really
What
understand. And
that
I
person's
think
feeling.
once
And
we
I
realize
I
that
didn't go,
as
I didn't take
individuals
medication,
that
but I have
our
a lot of
healing
clients that
comes
are,
from the
and so I'm
inside,
all for
not the
you do what you
outside.
need to do,
And
and
that's
that's
the
the key.
you're right,
We
the
talk
person
about
that can
laughter
help
and
you,
happiness
whether
here,
it's
but
a
we have to feel
psychologist or
all
a
our
psychiatrist
emotions.
or a
Yes, we do.
counsellor or a
And we have to
kinesiologist
remember
or
that
someone
every
else,
single emotion
because you can go to
is
10
transitory.
psychologists and only gel
We're
with
not
one.
the same
Yes.
fear. We don't have the
So
same
it's about
feeling
really
24/7.
connecting with that
No, we
person.
don't. So it's okay.
Feeling
There are days
heard.
when I feel crap.
And
And I
then
go, you know
allowing
what?
that
I'm going to tell
person to
myself it's
help,
okay to sit in
I
this
guess,
mud for a
hold your
little bit,
hand
because when
down
I
the
tell
path
myself
while
I
they help
can,
you
I
just
don't
start to
last
come out
long
of that
because I'm not
fog,
beating
to
myself
help
up.
you come out of that
Well,
pit
and that's the whole
with
thing.
whatever
I mean,
techniques
you're
they
allowed
have.
to sit
And
in
it's
that
not just feeling
in that
heard,
crap
it's feeling
for a
heard
little while,
and
but don't allow
seen.
yourself
Yes,
to sit there
because
for
a
too
lot
long.
of
And
people
that's
who
the
are in
key.
those
If I'm sitting there
situations,
for more
and
than
you
a
look
few
at the
days, I'm
homeless,
like, well, I need some help
There's a
here.
lot that just
Let me
want to
go
be
to my
seen,
kinesiologist. Let me go
and
talk to
then
someone. Let me
heard.
do something.
So it's really
it doesn't happen very
important to
often
be
now because
seen
I
and
found by
heard,
allowing it
Absolutely.
flows
and
through me.
yeah,
that
remembered
you have
or
the experience a lot of
respected
people don't
for who
have.
they are.
So therefore, they need you to
Let's
show
move on,
them,
because I
teach
think,
them.
you
And
know,
it is a
I
teaching.
know that
Yeah.
you can help people
It's
in
a
those
modality that
situations, and
teaches
as I
people
said,
to
I
take
don't truly
control of
understand it,
how
but
they're
seeing
feeling,
it,
and
but
go
I
away and
can't
practice
comment
and
on it
do that.
because come back to you if they need to
I've never
until they
experienced
get
it.
that. And we
So,
talked about that, until they get
and
I appreciate
to a
those people
space
that
where
get
they
into
can
those
do it themselves.
situations. Once upon a
I
time,
do
I
the
would have
same
said
thing.
they're
If I'm
being
working in my
selfish if they
clinic,
commit
there are
suicide. But
I need to get
and
out of
I've
that
known
room every now
people
and
that
then. My clinic's at the front of my
know
house.
quite well and
I would go and
have,
sit on the couch and I'll
and
watch
you just sit
reruns.
there
Right
and
now
you
I'm
think, well,
watching Stargate because
why did
I'm a
you do
sci-fi
that?
buff.
Why?
But I give myself permission to
Because
sit on the
we don't
couch and I don't
understand
beat myself
where
up
they're
about it.
coming from
And the funny
and
thing is,
what's
I'll barely
going
get
on
through
in
an
their
episode
brain.
before I'm like, all right, I'm
So
rejuvenated now. I'm ready to
you
go
also
because I'm
come
not.
from another
I don't
space
have that negative
of an
self-talk saying
experience that
I
you've
can't
had in
relax.
life.
You're not allowed to relax. If you're relaxing, you're lazy or whatever other
Breast
narrative goes
cancer.
through your mind.
Yeah.
Lazy.
It's
That's an
interesting. I was
interesting word,
diagnosed
isn't it?
with breast
It's
cancer
catch a
as we were
mind
coming out
is
of COVID.
lazy. I had a client
Now,
mention
what's
it last
interesting
week.
about
That's
a
why
really
it's
big,
top of mind
big
at the moment
advocate
that
that
she
if
talked to
something
herself that
changes,
if
she
please go to
wasn't
the doctors.
doing something all the
Because
time.
I've
She's
been checked
lazy.
in March. I thought something
Really?
didn't feel
Yeah,
right.
I've learned
I went in March and I was told you're all
not to
clear.
do things all the time.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting at my desk
And
and
then in
working
October,
away,
I actually looked in the
and I
mirror. So
need
for
a
me, it
break,
wasn't
I'll either go for a
physical
walk
thing. It
or
was
I'll go
a
and
visual
sit
thing. I
or
looked in the
walk
mirror
around my garden and
and
touch my plants.
Studies
my
are
boobs
showing
literally were
we need
lopsided.
brain breaks mean,
so I
can't
was
say the
getting
word,
pulled
brain
down on one
breaks
side, and I
to
thought,
help
"How
our
did I
brain
miss
be more
that?"
productive. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there was
And
a part
that's
of me
our
that thought, "Well, hang on, I got checked
responsibility
6
to
months ago, I'm
understand
fine."
that, and that's the awareness again.
But then there was another
It all
part that
comes
was
back
back
to
to
go to the
awareness, and I
doctors,
think
go
the
to the
biggest thing we
doctors,
need
go
to
to the doctors.
understand
So I
is
did.
we are
And
a product of our
I am
conditioning.
so grateful
We're a
because
product of our
every person I
parents.
had,
We're a product
just
of the society
smoothly
that we're in.
just navigated from
And
one
it's
to
not
the
until we
next.
start to question. And it
Where did
turned
this
out I
thought
had
come
a
from? Where did this belief
6.8
come from? Is it
centimeter
mine? Do I want this?
lobular
But that's the
carcinoma.
awareness.
So
And you go,
it's
no,
a
actually,
it's a
no,
cancer
I don't
that's
want to live
deep
that way.
in the breast,
I want to live this way.
and it
I
was
want to have a
pulling my
different
breast
thought or a
down.
different belief.
Wow. And that's a
6.8
choice.
centimeters.
It
So
is a
either
choice.
it
We
wasn't
all have
there
choice.
6 months
Yeah.
ago,
And
or it
Yeah,
grew
choosing
really
to
fast.
change it or choosing
Wow.
to stay where
Okay.
you are.
Do you
Being a
mind
victim
sharing?
I'm happy to share anything. Yeah.
Being a hero or
So
victor?
another.
Yeah, being
I'm a
hero,
big
I
believer
like a
that things
hero.
happen for a reason, and
Absolutely.
You know,
one
there are a
month
lot of people
before
that sit in that
being
victim.
diagnosed, I did a laughter yoga course.
I'm going to say
So I studied laughter
victimhood.
yoga. It was a
Yeah,
2-day
because it
course
is a
about
hood of
the
victims,
power of laughter.
victims.
So
But we can step
when I
out
got
of that
diagnosed,
and
I
move
was able
into
to
that heroic
firstly connecting with gratitude because of all the
part of
work
our
I had done
lives that
before
we
in terms of being able
create
to see it,
the things
having
that
the
we
right
want to
doctor,
do,
having a great
the people
surgeon.
we want to spend
Everything
time
just
with.
was smooth.
I was
Going into
reading
hospital,
something or
everything
listening
just
to something just
happened.
recently.
But I was
It a
laughing as
podcast
they were
because I
wheeling
listen to
me into
podcasts all the
surgery.
time. But it's
And
all
the surgeon
about,
said, "Here,
Can't
bun."
imagine you doing that.
I was
being
cracking a joke
you,
with the nurse.
not conforming.
And
Don't worry
he
about
goes
what
laughing, and I
other
go,
people are
"Well, I'm
saying
here to lose a
about
bit of
you.
weight."
It's
Like
which is
me
something I
laughing
used
off
to worry about. I
having a
don't care
mastectomy on
anymore.
one side.
You can say what you
And
like
he just
Yeah.
shook his head. And he
because
said
it's
to
none of
me
my
a few weeks
business.
later after he rang
the
to
one
say
thing I've learned,
that it
if
was
you're
all clear,
if you're happy,
that they got
you're not
it all,
saying anything
that,
bad about
he
anyone
goes, "You know
else.
what?
So
Positive
if someone's
things
saying
happen to
something bad
positive
about you,
people,
it's
and
because
you
they're
were
not
so
happy and they're in
positive."
love.
And so I used
Or they
all
see
the
something in
tools
you
that
that
I'd
they want
learnt
to be.
through healing my
So they're not happy.
depression,
It still comes
the
down to
laughter
they've
yoga.
got
I
their own
used that as an
stuff
anchor.
going on, and they need to
So when
deflect
I went
away
through
from their
radiation
own
therapy,
stuff.
I was laughing.
Yeah.
I want to get back
We had
to
lots of jokes
your
about me being
experience with breast
one-sided
cancer.
for so long.
And now
I
you've
had to
had
be
a
one-sided for about 3
reconstruction.
years
What was
because I had
that
radiation
like
therapy and I had to
building
wait a
up
few
to that
years.
time of a
And it was just lots
reconstruction?
of jokes.
Because
And
there'll
I
be
wanted
people
to do
out
that,
there,
one, because it made
women
me feel
out
better.
there who have
And the
had,
one thing I
and
learnt,
I used to
you
teach an
can't always
exercise class
choose
with
what
a woman
happens
that
to you,
had
but
a
you can
double
choose how you
mastectomy,
respond.
but never had a
so true.
reconstruction.
And so I chose
Um,
laughter.
Yeah.
And she
And
used
it
to get in the
wasn't, it was
pool, but
funny
she'd
though,
always go
people's
somewhere
response
else
was,
that
you're
people
not
couldn't
dealing
see
with
her. I
this.
said, don't worry
You're
about it.
pushing it down.
People will
It's going to hit you in a
understand. The
year's
women
time.
will
I'm like,
understand.
no.
And it was
I'm
like
okay. This is just
beautiful
another
lady,
adventure in my life.
absolutely beautiful. She
I'm
did her
okay.
exercise
And you know
and
how
did
to
all
deal
that
with
sort
it
of stuff,
because
which
you
you had the
lovely.
modalities to deal
What
with it.
what was it like
I want
for
to
the
ask a
build up for
question
you?
about
I mean,
family. How did they
removing,
cope?
as you said, and made a joke
Well, I
of
think
it,
my positive
losing
attitude helped
weight,
with my
you
kids
know,
and my
losing a bit
husband
of body weight.
It wasn't much. I think it
because
was
they didn't see
200
me
grams.
crying. I think I only cried twice.
200
And
grams is
both
200
times, well, the
grams.
first time was when he
And
told me I had tears in my
and
eyes. I
then
wasn't
coming
full on
up
crying.
and
It was
building up
definitely
to
like, I
having
would
the
have.
reconstruction.
He'd go,
What
let me
was
read the
that
report.
emotion
Blah, blah,
like
blah, blah,
for you?
carcinoma. I go, hang on a minute.
It was a
what?
process. Some
So
people
that
get
was the first time I
reconstruction
had
straight
tears. The
away.
second
I
time
was
was
advised
when
not to
Imed
because I
had
needed
actually
radiation therapy,
agreed to
and he
not
didn't want to
charge
destroy
me
the
like
tissue,
to waive one
the
of the
new
bills.
tissue
It
they
was
were
a
going to bill
$1,000
for $1,000 that they
So
were
for
waiving,
me, for
and I
quite a
was
while, I
teary
was
out of
fine
gratitude
having
for them.
a
So
prosthetic.
I can honestly say I
And
didn't
then
cry.
we went
And I think that
to
positive
New Zealand,
attitude and the
and I
jokes
remember
helped my kids
we were going
navigate
to the
through it
mud
because
baths,
they
and I
knew
thought, well, I
if
can't
I
wear
was
my
okay,
prosthetic in the
I
mud
was going
bath
to be
because it's
okay.
highly
Yeah.
it's alkaline
So we
there.
cracked
The really
jokes,
stinky mud baths that are really good
and
for you.
yes, it hit
So
all of us hard.
that's when I started to think, well,
My
I
uncle had
think
been
I
diagnosed with
want
lymphoma only
a
6 months before
reconstruction.
me, and so
And
we're
I
already
went
going through
down the
a
public
cancer journey
path
with him
He's only
initially,
5 years older than
and
me,
realised
so
the wait
yeah,
was
they're very
about a
close
year
in
to
age.
2 to 3 years.
And
I
even
don't know
when I
what the
told
wait
him, he
was.
goes, "Oh, how'd you go to the
So I
doctors?" And I
did
go, "Well,
opt for
I
private.
smiled." I said, "I've joined
And
your
it
club."
was
And
a
he
journey
smiled, and
because
then
I
he
think
thought,
once I decided, I
no,
decided.
no,
I wanted the
the penny
reconstruction.
dropped. Yeah.
And
So
for me,
I think the
again, because
family
of
were
the
okay
treatment I
because
had,
I
I was
couldn't
okay.
have
Yeah. But it's all
I couldn't
about
have an implant. I had to use they
being
had surgery where
positive
they move
and
the fat from your stomach up
not
to
thinking on
your
the
breast
sad
area.
side. Look at the
And 10
and that's
days
a
out from
really
surgery,
hard
so I had
thing
it
to
all
do.
set for
To look
Cabrini
at the
Hospital.
positive side of life when
And
you're going through
10 days
such
out, I went for a
a
mammogram on the other
traumatic
side, and I said to the
experience.
universe, if there's
Or you can
something there,
make it
you pick it up
traumatic, or
now
you
because
can
I don't want to
make
go through
it
this again.
something that is
And there was.
I'm learning
They
from
found
this.
something in
What
the other
is it that
breast.
I'm learning?
And I
think my
said to the
attitude was
technician,
that
I've got an appointment with
I have a choice
my
here. Now I could be sad, plastic
or
surgeon
I
in
could be
an hour and a
happy.
half. Can you
I
have a
do have a
report to him
belief
in an
that
hour
our
and a half
emotions
because I
affect
wanted
our
to
body.
see this?
Yes, they
No
do.
worries. And I
And
got there and I
even if
told
I'm
him, he goes,
wrong,
"We're not
feeling
gonna have the
happy and
report."
laughing made
Sure
me feel
enough,
better
the
anyway.
report was there.
Yeah.
But I
And
do
they
know
just
that
determined that there was something there.
laughter,
And I said to
joy,
him, I
it
am
does
not going to increase
through
our immune
the
system, which
biopsy. I'm
helps
not going through all
everything
that
else.
stuff anymore.
Look,
if
when we
you're
do the
feeling a
surgery,
little bit
can you
sad
please
and you laugh,
do the
and
mastectomy
I used to do this
and
a
just
lot
give me a
with my
double
kids.
reconstruction?
If I was,
And that
they
turned the
were
surgery
cranky
from a
with me, I'd
5-hour
start
surgery to a
laughing.
10-hour surgery. So we're talking a big
And then
surgery
look at
here.
me and they
Um,
try keep
and it's
serious face.
phenomenal. Our
And
bodies are
eventually you have
amazing.
to laugh.
And
I know,
because
I
you
know.
can't
And he
help
said,
it.
well, I'll have to ring the surgeon to see
Or,
if he
you know,
can do
you
it. And I
put a
have
funny
to,
face
and
at
it all
them
just
and they think
went
you're
into plan.
bloody
Everything happened
stupid.
how it was meant to.
You know?
It was great.
And
And
that's
so
the
I
sort of
actually
thing.
joke now that I
Laughter
had a fat
is the best
relocation
medicine.
program where I relocated the fat from
And
here to
I
here.
think
I told you I have a
once we
sense of
realise
humour.
that as individuals,
Um,
that
but
our healing
they
comes from
do
the
look different. So for
inside,
those that are
not the
asking, this one
outside.
was like
And
scooped
that's
out
the
and
key.
refilled
We talk
without
about
getting
laughter and
too super
happiness here,
detailed.
but we
Whereas
have
this
to
one
feel all our
has stomach
emotions.
fat
Yes,
to
we do.
create the
And we have
breast.
to
They
remember
are
that
slightly
every
different.
single emotion
But what's
is
amazing
transitory.
is
We're
when
not
you have
the
this
same
surgery,
surgery,
we don't have
we
the
have
same
to
feeling
be
in a
24/7.
special hospital that
No, we don't.
knows
So it's okay. There are days
how
when I feel
to
crap.
the nurses have
And
to
I
know
go, you know what? I'm
the
going to tell
healing
myself it's
process
okay to
is.
sit in
And
this mud
so
for a
you
little
don't
bit
get
because when I tell myself I
infection
can,
and
I don't
Well,
last
even
long
more than
because I'm
that,
not bringing
it's
myself
because
up.
they put a Doppler machine or
and that's the
to
whole
check
thing.
that
I mean, you're allowed
because
to sit
actually
in
Yeah.
what they do is
that crap
microsurgery. They take
for a
some
little while, but
veins
don't
or blood
allow
vessels
yourself to sit
from
there
down
for
here,
too long.
punch a hole in
and
your rib
that's the
cage, and they
key.
have to
If
put
I'm
blood
sitting there
vessels
for
in
more
where
than
the
a few
new fat's
days,
being
I'm like, well,
relocated.
I need
Punch
some
a
help here.
hole in your rib cage.
Let me
think
go to
it's
my
a micro
kinesiologist. Let
hole.
me go talk to someone that
and
can
it's
do something. So
microsurgery.
it doesn't happen very
Um,
often now
but
because
they then
I
have
found by
to
allowing
check
it
that
flows
those
through me.
blood
Yeah.
vessels are
That
taking.
you
So
have the
every hour
experience a
you're
lot
getting
of people
checked for the
don't
first
have.
24 hours,
So
and then it goes
therefore,
to
they
every 2
need
hours, and then
you
it's every
to
4
show
hours.
them,
And
teach them.
what they're doing is they're
And it
making
is a
sure because
teaching.
the biggest
It's a
challenge is
modality
that they
that
could die in
teaches
the first
people
48
to
hours. Yeah.
take control
Yeah.
of
But after 7
how they're
days, your body
feeling
goes, oh,
and go
there's more
away and
tissue here. Let me
practice
create
and
more
do
blood
that.
vessels.
Come back
Yeah.
to you if
And
they
it does it
need to,
automatically. And
until they
that
get
blew
that.
me
And we
away
talked
that the
about
body
that
is just
until they
so
get to a
intelligent. I mean, I
space
know
where
that
they
anyway,
can do
but
it themselves.
to just
I
trust
do the
that the
same
body's
thing.
doing
If
what it
I'm
needs
working
to
in my
do.
clinic,
It's
there are
incredible.
I
isn't it?
need to get
And
out
I've
of
got a
that
tummy
room
tuck at
every
the
now and
same
then. My
time. So
clinic's at the
hey,
front of my
it's
house.
complaining.
I would go and sit on the
Little-
couch and I'll watch reruns.
double
Right now I'm
whammy.
And I
watching
said to him, I said,
Stargate
look,
because
can you make
I'm a
them a little bit
sci-fi
bigger?
buff. But
And
I
he said
give
to me,
myself
I
permission to
don't
sit
know
on
if
the
there's enough
couch,
fat
and I
there.
don't
And when he
beat
when we got
myself
out of
up
surgery, he
about
goes,
it.
there was
And the
plenty.
funny thing
I
is,
go,
I'll
"Thanks,
barely
I
get
hope
through
you
an
got rid of the
episode
rest."
before I'm like, all right, I'm ready, rejuvenated now. I'm ready to
I
go.
told you,
Yeah.
I
Because
was
I'm not-
cracking jokes the whole.
I don't have that
you have
negative
to because
self-talk saying, I
otherwise
can't
you'd be
relax.
depressed.
You're not allowed to relax.
And,
if
you
you're
know, I've
relaxing,
gotta
you're
see the
lazy
light
or
side of
whatever other
things,
narrative
yeah.
goes through your mind.
Yeah, how many women would
Lazy.
feel
That's
like
an
you though
interesting
when they
word,
go
isn't
through a
it?
process like
it's
this?
catch a mind because
And
lazy.
you know, they,
I had a
they
client
have
mention it
the
last
walk
week.
for
That's
breast
why it's top of
cancer
mind at the moment.
and
That she
families
talked
walk
to
for
herself that if she
families
wasn't
that
doing
have
something all the
passed
time,
and
she's lazy.
all that sort of thing.
Really?
And
Yeah, I've learnt
I just
I've
wonder
learnt not
how
to do
they
things all the
feel,
time.
families
If I'm
feel
sitting
about
at my desk and
losing
working
someone
away,
or someone
and I
who's
need a
had
break,
that
I'll either go for a
reconstruction
walk
or whatever
or
it
I'll go
might
and sit
be.
or
And I
walk around my
think
garden and touch
you
my
throwing a
plants.
different
Studies have
limelight
shown
and giving
we need
women
brain
a different
breaks. I say the
understanding
word
if they're
brain
going
breaks
through
to
something like this
help our brain
is
be
a
more
really
productive.
important
Yeah,
process
yeah.
for them.
And that's
to
our
understand that
responsibility
they
to understand that, and that's
it
the
can be
awareness
okay.
again.
What I do
It
actually
all
say
comes
to my
back to
clients,
awareness.
and
And I think the
I'd say
biggest
to the
thing we need
listeners
to
too
understand
here,
is that
we are a product
you make
of
a
our
list of things
conditioning.
that make you
Yeah.
happy
We're a
because
product
when
of
you're
our
in
parents.
that
We're a
sad
product of the
state, you can't
society
always
that we're in.
rat again. You forget
And
it.
it's not until
so
we
you've got
start
a
to
list on your
question,
phone. You can
where
go,
did this thought
no,
come
no,
from?
no.
Where did
Ooh,
this
maybe that
belief
one will
come
help.
from? Is it mine?
And then
Do I
do it.
want this?
Yeah.
But that's the awareness.
Thanks,
And you go, no,
Carolyn.
actually,
Thank you for
no, I don't want to
sharing
live that
your
way.
inner
I want to live this way. I want to have a different thought
um,
or a different belief.
wisdom
choice.
and
It is a
sharing
choice. We
your
all have
experience,
choice.
which is
Yeah,
a really
and
important
yeah,
part
choosing
of
to change it or
who you
choosing
are
to
and how
stay where
you can
you are.
show that you can
Being a
help
victim
people heal
Or
and
being a
take
hero
them on that
or
journey
victor.
to
Yeah,
understanding
being
and
a hero or
creating that
like a hero
awareness for
being a
themselves.
to
You know, there are a lot of
live their
people that
lives
sit
in
in
the
that
way that
victim.
they want
Yeah.
to.
Thank you for
I'm
having
going
me.
to
It's
say
been an
victimhood.
absolute pleasure
Yeah,
and
because
joy.
it is a
And
hood
thank you
of
for all the work
victims,
you do as well,
victims.
because
Yeah.
But
your
we can step
conversations are
out
so
of that
empowering.
And move
Thank you.
into that
Thank you.
heroic
I'm Faye. This has been
part of our
Conversations with
lives
Faye.
that we
And
create
I'll be
the
back
things that
with
we want
another
to do,
conversation
the
next
people we
week.
want to
It's bye
spend
from me
time
for
with.
now.
I was reading something or listening to something just recently. I was podcast because I listen to podcasts all the time. But it's all about being you, not conforming. Don't worry about what other people are saying about you, which is something I used to worry about. I don't care anymore. You can say what you like.
Yeah.
Because it's none of my business.
Yeah, the one thing I've learned, if you're happy, you're not
Hit the
saying anything bad
subscribe
about
button
anyone
on our
else.
YouTube
So if someone's
channel,
saying something bad
like
about
us
you,
on
it's because they're not
Facebook,
happy in their
and
own life.
follow us on Instagram.
Or
Changing
they see
lives,
something
one
in you that they wanna
conversation
be.
at a time.
So they're not happy. It still comes down to they've got their own stuff going on and they need to deflect away from their own stuff. Yeah.
I want to get back to your experience with breast cancer. And now you've had a reconstruction. What was that like building up to that time of a reconstruction? Because there'll be people out there, women out there, who have had, and I used to teach an exercise class with a woman that had had a double mastectomy. mastectomy, but never had a reconstruction. And she used to get in the pool, but she'd always go somewhere else so people couldn't see her. I said, don't worry about it. People will understand. The women will understand. And it was like, beautiful lady, absolutely beautiful. She did her exercise and did all that sort of stuff, which was lovely. What was it like for the build up for you? I mean, removing, as you said, and made a joke of it, losing weight. You know, there's a bit of body weight.
It wasn't much. I think it was 200 grams. It was cutting.
200 grams is 200 grams. And And then coming up and building up to having the reconstruction, what was that emotion like for you?
It was a process. Some people hit reconstruction straight away. I was advised not to because I needed radiation therapy and he didn't want to destroy the new tissue they were going to put there.
Yeah.
So for me, for quite a while, I was fine having a prosthetic. And then we went to New Zealand and I remember we were going to the mud baths and I thought, well, I can't wear my prosthetic in the mud bath because it's alkaline there. You know, the really stinky mud baths that are really good for you. So that's when I started to think, well, I think I want a reconstruction. And I went down the public path initially and realized the wait was about a year to 2 to 3 years. I don't know what the wait was. So I did opt for private. And it was a journey because I think once I decided, yeah, I wanted the reconstruction. And for me, again, because of the treatment I had, I couldn't have an implant. I had to they had a surgery where they move the fat from your stomach up to your breast area. And 10 days out from surgery, so I had it all set for Cabrini Hospital. And 10 days out, I went for a mammogram on the other side and I said to the universe, if there's something there, you pick it up now because I don't want to go through this again. And there was. They found something in the other breast. And I said to the technician, I've got an appointment with my plastic surgeon in an hour and a half. Can you have a report to him in an hour and a half because I wanted to see this? No worries. And I got there and I told him, he goes, we're not going to have the report. Sure enough, the report was there. And they just determined that there was something there. And I said to him, I am not going through the biopsy. I'm not going through all that stuff anymore. When we do the surgery, can you please do the mastectomy and just give me a double reconstruction? And that turned the surgery from a 5-hour surgery to a 10-hour surgery. So we're talking a big surgery here. And it's phenomenal. Our bodies are amazing.
I know they are.
And he said, well, I'll have to ring the surgeon to see if he can do it. And it all just went into plan. Everything happened how it was meant to. It was great. And so I actually joke now that I had a fat relocation program where I relocated the fat from here to here. I told you I have a sense of humor. But they do look different. So for those that are asking, this one was like scooped out and refilled without getting too much detail, whereas this one has stomach fat to create the breast. They are slightly different.
Yeah.
But what's amazing is when you have this surgery, you have to be in a special hospital that knows the nurses have to know what the healing process is.
And so you don't get infection and all.
Even more than that, it's because they put a Doppler machine to check that because they actually, what they do is microsurgery. They take some veins or blood vessels from down here, punch a hole in your rib cage, and they have to put blood vessels in where the new fat's being relocated.
Punch a hole in your rib cage.
I think it's a micro hole.
Yes.
And it's microsurgery. But they then have to check that those blood vessels are taking. So every hour you're getting checked for the first 24 hours, and then it goes to every 2 hours, and then it's every 4 hours. And what they're doing is they're making sure, because the biggest challenge is that they could die in the first 48 hours.
Yeah.
But after 7 days, your body goes, oh, there's more tissue here. Let me create more blood vessels.
Yeah.
And it does it automatically. And that blew me away, that the body is just so intelligent. I mean, I know that anyway, but to just trust that the body's doing what it needs to do.
It's incredible, isn't it?
And I got a tummy tuck at the same time. So, hey, he's complaining.
Well, a double whammy.
And I said to him, look, can you make them a little bit bigger? And he said to me, I don't know if there's enough fat there. And when we got out of surgery, he goes, there was plenty. And I go, thanks. I hope you got rid of the breast. I told you I was cracking jokes the whole. You have to, because
Well, otherwise you'd be depressed.
and I just want to see the lighter side of things.
Yeah. You know, how many women would feel like Hugo when they go through a process like this? And, that they have the walk for breast cancer and families walk for families that have passed and all that sort of thing. And I just wonder how families feel about losing someone or someone who's had that reconstruction or whatever it might be. And I think you throwing a different line on it and giving women a different understanding if they're going through something like this is a really important process for them to understand that it can be okay.
What I do actually say to my clients, and I'd say to the listeners too here, is that you make a list of things that make you happy, because when you're in that sad state, you can't always you forget it. So if you've got a list on your phone, you can go, no, oh, maybe that one will help. And then do it.
Yeah. Thanks, Karen. Thank you for sharing your inner wisdom and sharing your experience, which is a really important part of who you are and how you can show that you can help people heal and take them on that journey to understanding and creating that awareness for themselves to live their own lives in the way that they want to.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure and joy. And thank you for all the work you do as well, because your conversations are so empowering.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Faye. This has been Conversations with Faye, and I'll be back with another conversation next week. It's bye from me for now.
Hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram. Changing lives, one conversation at a time.